Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call the August 2026 Committee on Accreditation meeting to order. Ms. Bernardo, if you could please call our roll.
Jessica Bogdanovich.
Present.
Malika Bryant.
Present.
Brandy Byers.
Present.
Lonnie Campbell. Jenny Kiope.
Present.
Shell Hall.
Present.
Ellen Hallis.
Present.
Mike Hillis.
Here.
Allison Leggett.
Present.
Patrick McKee.
Present.
Jay Sykes. We have one.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Glad to see everyone here this morning. We would like to remind you, as members of the committee, we're largely in person at the commission offices in Sacramento, and we have one member joining us this morning via technology. Additionally, members of the public, team leads, and institutional personnel are joining the meeting from numerous places in the state today. Please be aware that if you're joining electronically, we're going to mute your microphones to eliminate any background noise that may get in the way of others hearing what is being said by the speakers. This meeting is being recorded. After the meeting ends, the archived audio and video will be available on the Commission's website. The Bagley-Keene Meeting Conference requires that committee members who are attending the meeting via teleconference to disclose of any other individuals 18 years or older are present in the room at the remote location and the general nature of the members' relationship with and such individuals. We only have one member who is joining us virtually. So member Bryant, do you have anyone over the age of 18 present?
Nope, closed door, just me.
All right. Well, good morning. Thank you for joining us virtually this morning. Members of the committee and the public are asked to please ensure your Zoom identification contains your first and last names accurately, so we're able to call on you appropriately, and so that we can be sure to record all names accurately in the meeting minutes. When it's time to take up an item, we'll need a moment to move all relevant participants to panelist status so that they can be seen and heard. Participants will need to turn on their camera and unmute once it's time for their item. Committee members attending electronically, if you wish to make a comment, please use the raise your hand feature, which is located at the bottom of the Zoom screen. Because we are a public body and must conduct our business in the public forum, we ask committee members to please not use the chat feature except to notify us if there's a technical issue preventing you from hearing or speaking during the meeting. When you make motions, please state the motion in full so that there is no question on what the motion is. In accordance with the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act, because this is a hybrid virtual in-person meeting, all votes this morning and this afternoon today will be conducted via roll call. Just before the vote, we'll remind everyone to make sure you're unmuted so that the recording captures your votes. If you're unable to respond via video or audio for some reason, you may, as a last resort, make your vote known through the chat function. The secretary will have to read your name and your vote when she gets to that part of the roll call to make it an official part of the record and to make sure the public knows what that vote is. Again, this is only as a last resort due to technical difficulties. If any member needs to leave this meeting for any period of time, you are participating electronically. If you have to leave the meeting for any point in time, please raise your hand and let us know so we can be sure we have a quorum at all times and so the record can be accurate. Also, please do the same when returning to the meeting and the same for individuals in person. For our public comment, members of the public wishing to provide public comment during the discussion of an agenda item, you'll be given the opportunity to speak during the public comment period for each item and then at the end of the meeting. The committee chair will announce when the public comment period is open during the presentation of the agenda item and ask for anyone who wishes to comment to notify the meeting moderator as explained. Please know that the COA members cannot respond to or speak to topics that are not agendized. All public comment will be limited to 2 minutes. Participants who will be attending today in person, if you would like to make comments during the meeting, if you're attending in person, you'll need to complete a public comment card to indicate which item you'd like to speak on and provide that to our meeting organizer. The meeting organizer will call the speaker at the time the agenda item is being presented. For our participants who are joining us today via Zoom webcast, individuals who would like in the Zoom meeting to make a public comment, please click on the raise your hand icon to indicate that you would like to speak on that item. Staff will notify the individual when it is your turn to speak by calling the name listed in your Zoom ID used by the member of the public when logging into the meeting. At that time, the individual will be prompted to unmute their microphone and will be able to share their comment. For our participants joining us this morning via teleconference, individuals who join the meeting via the U.S. toll-free number will need to press *9 on their phone to inform the meeting moderator that they would like to speak on that item. The The meeting moderator will notify the individual it's their turn to speak by calling the last 4 digits of their phone number and will allow them to unmute their telephone. At that time, the individual will be prompted to press *6 and will be able to share their comment. There's also a time designated for general public comment at the end of the meeting. With those ideas in mind, do we have any committee members who have any questions on any of these protocols? Right, we are good. Then it's a pleasure this morning to welcome our 2 newest committee members. We have Brandy Byers from Oakley Union Elementary School District and Jenny Chiappi from California State University, Dominguez Hills. We'd like to welcome you all on board to the Committee on Accreditation, and beginning with Member Byers, would you like to introduce yourself and share a little bit about yourself with all of us, and then Member Chiappi?
Sure. I'm the Director of Educator Development at Oakley Union Elementary School District in the far east Bay Area. So right along the Delta there, and oversee all of our Grow Your Own programs. So our teacher residency, we have a classified teacher grant, the reading language authorization grant. We also have the restorative practices grant, which is through CVE. So we're doing a lot of work around, meeting the needs of our community. And Oakley itself is a great place for Grow Your Own because of the location. So we've really been able to invest in our community and have seen a lot of success that way, which is why I'm here. Because we just became very interested in all of the different kind of accreditation processes and credentials that we could potentially offer and partnerships that we have and all of those things.
Glad to have you here and bringing your expertise to this group. Thank you. And welcome, Member. I said you're correctly, Chiappi?
Chiappi, yeah.
Chiappi, welcome on board.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I am an associate professor at Cal State Dominguez Hills, which is located in the South Bay region of the Los Angeles County. Mainly serve LAUSD and the local regions around that area. I am the PK3 coordinator, and starting next Monday, I will be the new department chair of special education, and which oversees all the Ed Specialist credentials as well as the PK3 credential. I'm really excited to be here. I've served on prior reviews and a site visit with Miranda, so I'm really excited to see this work at another level. Thank you.
We're happy to have you here and bring your expertise. If we could welcome our 2 newest members. We're going to move on to our first agenda item, which is item number 2, the approval of the agenda. The first item is approving our agenda today, and we would like to clarify that we wanted to make a couple adjustments when you are making your motion. We'll be taking item 8, which is CSU San Bernardino, after items 9 and 10. And then we are going to, right before item 8, move up the nominations for the co-chair for 26-27. So those would just be a couple adjustments for today, if that is okay with everybody. And with that in mind, we would need somebody to make a motion for approving today's agenda. Member Hall.
We approved today's agenda
With
with the modifications.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And we had a second on the motion over here. So yeah, Member Leggett, and as our second. And like I said earlier, all of our votes today will be a roll call vote. When you are called, please indicate your vote. Your vote will either be aye, no, or abstain. And staff, if you could please call the names.
Jessica Bogdanovich,
Aye.
Leica Bryant. Leica, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I didn't hear my name. Aye.
Brandy Byers,
Aye.
Jenny Chiappi,
Hi.
Michelle Hall,
Hi.
Ellen Hallis,
Aye.
Mike Hillis,
Aye.
Allison Leggett,
Aye. Sorry.
Patrick McKee,
Aye.
Jay Sykes.
Awesome. Motion carries. Thank you so much. We're going to move to item number 3. Item number 3 is the approval of the minutes of the prior meeting. And just as a quick reminder, if would be appropriate if you're a committee member who did not attend the last meeting to abstain on this vote. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from our prior meeting? And we have member Bryant.
I just have a comment or a question. I noticed in the notes that it said I recused myself from the approval of the previous minutes in these minutes, and I did not. So I don't know if that needs to be adjusted or if it's not, if it matters that much, but that was just a note.
We'll correct it.
We'll make that correction. Thank you for noticing that. And then the only thing I noticed on page 6, Dr. Alanvini's name is spelled wrong. So
It happens.
since we're making an adjustment anyway,
The hazard of having an Italian name, yeah.
but with that, with the any other adjustments or a motion with those 2 changes? Member Hillis.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of the prior meeting with those corrections.
Do we have a second? We have a member Leggett. And with that, we're going to call for a roll call vote. And when your name is called, if you could please vote with either aye, no, or abstain.
Jessica Bogdanovich.
Aye.
Micah Bryant.
I think you have to speak a little louder. I don't think Maleka can hear.
I can't.
Malika Bryant.
Aye.
Here is loud. Randy Byers.
Abstain.
Penny Kiape.
Abstain.
Michelle Hall.
Aye.
Alan Hollis.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Allison Leggett. Aye. Patrick McKee.
Aye.
Jay Sykes.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you so much. We're now going to move to item number 4. Item number 4 are the co-chair and member reports. Before we begin this morning, we'd like to revisit some of the norms we talked about the last meeting, but we also want to make sure that all of our members throughout all of our meetings never feel rushed in any decision-making items. So just a quick couple of reminders about our meeting norms. As a reminder, not today, but in future meetings, you'll get a copy of times for each of the agenda items. And remembering that those times are only approximate times, they're used to as a format for all of us to be kind of guided on who might be waiting in the wings, but that's not to rush at any point, any of the conversations. The times are not set in stone. They're only approximates, and everyone in the wings has been told that these are approximate times. For all of our COA members, you have a right to talk through any item for as long as you need to until a decision is reached, and everyone can be able to ask their questions and get any comments made. You're not limited to any times and any sheets provided. And if you ever feel that we're moving too quickly and you would like more time to think, discuss, or talk, just speak up and let us know. We need to remind all COA members that you must voice your vote for the record. Today, it's a little bit different because we're calling everyone's names, but if everyone's in person, normally we just have a general call, but everyone is required to say out loud either yes, no, or abstain or recuse. Abstentions are only appropriate when you do not have enough information to make a decision. If a member improperly uses an abstention and makes comments that could be construed as trying to stop an action or otherwise using the abstention could be construed as a vote and the action could be voided. So just remembering that not responding is not an option and just understanding what an abstention is. I also want to add that staff does its best to keep institutional personnel and team leads aware of the progress of our meetings and where we are with the agenda during the day. You'll see that oftentimes Administrator Hickey, Co-Chair Bogdanovich, and myself are often talking or trying to navigate things because we're letting the people in the wings know we might be off by 15 minutes or 30 minutes because we're aware of those times. But ultimately, this is an open public meeting in which deliberation discussion is important to the process. And sometimes that means running long, on other times early, depending on the nature of items to be discussed. Everyone, we just thank you for your grace and flexibility. Also, we do our very best to pronounce everyone's names when called upon. We ask for everyone's grace as well. Some of our names that were provided, we have it spelled out phonetically. Sometimes we're just doing our very best to pronounce names. So if anyone's name is mispronounced, we acknowledge our apologies in advance of today's meeting. Member Kiape is new, and I may ask you a few times if I'm pronouncing your name even correctly. And no means ever a level of disrespect. We just want to make sure that we acknowledge people's names properly ultimately in our opportunities as well. As I told Co-Chair Bogdanovich, it took me a couple meetings to be able to say her last name correctly, and we're all human. So with that, as I move into my report and I want to then pass to my co-chair, just this morning, I want to acknowledge that this is Administrator Hickey's last meeting with us today. And although we are all very excited what your future holds for retirement, it makes us also a little bit nervous and sad because you are definitely the anchor of our group. And I just want to publicly acknowledge and thank you for all that you've provided us. From joining as a member and then co-chair, I know that you're always someone who has our best interest in the interest of all programs in mind, and the integrity by which you lead, the openness by which you support all programs across the state of California, in my opinion, is invaluable to all of us. And I think what I've seen in my work and what we've done is you are always just checking in to see what's the best interest to everybody. I know sometimes it's long hours and it's hard work and maybe not always a lot of thank yous along the way, but we do truly appreciate all that you have done to support us. And I know Co-Chair Bogdanovich wanted to share a few words as well.
Yes, I just too want to thank you, Cheryl, for everything that you have done for me as a mentor and for our institution. Every time we have a site visit question or preconditions, I reach out to you, and your knowledge has been tremendous as far as anything related to the Committee on Accreditation. So really appreciate your mentorship and your support, and you will definitely be missed.
And I was going to say, as co-chairs, you're my right hand, although you're sitting on the left. But that your knowledge base, even making sure that we're following through, all of us knowing that we could lean into where are the parameters, what's the window by which to know that there's someone as an expert here that can guide us. I would just like to thank you, acknowledge you, and know that these are big shoes to fill. We do have Sarah Solari Colombini coming in as an interim, and we are looking forward to working alongside you. But if we could all please acknowledge our administrator, Cheryl Hickey, for all of her hard work. We are going to have some acknowledgements later today, but for any of our committee members, if there's anything you would like to report or any acknowledgements as well, this is your meeting as well. You can definitely let us know. We'll call on you.
I'm sure you lead with kindness, and everyone's going to remember that. You've left a legacy of leadership that we all appreciate. Now it's time for you to write a book.
I know. Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate it.
We have a member Sykes.
Cheryl, I just want to say thank you so much. I think from the time I first started as a program lead to when I was working through credentialing puzzles at CCAC conference, you've always been just a solid ground and held what's right for teacher credentialing and what's best for teachers at the forefront, and have done it with a way of both nurturing and supporting leaders of credentialing programs up and down the state. So just thank you so much for your leadership and your mentorship and your guidance along the way.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's going to make me cry.
And I know this is probably the last thing you want is all the attention towards you, but we're going to continue with member Hollis.
Yeah, I just want to thank you so much. You explain a very, very complicated 100,000 piece puzzle, kind of one puzzle piece at a time to all of us. And without it, this work would be a lot more complicated than it already is. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Member Hall.
And just to add on, I agree with everything everybody else said, but also Cheryl, your ability to remove the fear factor of this process for me was the single most important thing, because you get really anxious that you're going through this process, and you had that ability to remove the fear. It's it's just a process. We're just going through this process. And that was, to me, the most amazing piece. Then all the wisdom you had could come in, but before you remove that fear, you're too anxious to move forward. So that's something else I really appreciate.
Thank you. I'm going to miss all your emails, Michelle.
I know.
We move forward today. I think the strength of any entity starts with the leader. And what I hear from everyone saying and what we just thank you for is your leadership, and know that you will be missed, but you're going to be remembered at every one of our meetings because we leave with the remembrance of how you guided. I heard mentorships shared a few times, and that will never go away. So I hope you will be watching us maybe on Zoom stream.
I've been talking in Sacramento a lot. She talks about having to like pull yourself back from the work. I'm saying.
So, but we are always here. If you're ever trying to find out where we're at to watch, we're looking for an audience.
Well, thank you all. Appreciate it. It's been an honor to work for this committee for a really long time. So this is work I love, and I love working with institutions and programs, and it's just been a real wonderful time. But you know, all things come to an end. So moving on to the next phase of my life. So I really appreciate it. It's been great working with all of you. I never thought of myself as a mentor, though. This is kind of new. I'm shocked that word is even used right now, but so thank you. I appreciate it.
And I think it's used with honesty and heart, because you are. I think I come to this meeting with strength, knowing your mentorship is there. And so sometimes it's important to hear the value that you bring to other people. And one thing that I love what Member Hall said, and I want to just thank our committee. I think, you know, maybe historically or in the past, coming before the Committee on Accreditation has been nerves or fears. And I thank all of you because I think we worked hard to change that collectively, that we know everyone's doing their best to run the best program, but in the end, we're held and bound to legislative action based upon what needs to be done. And you've helped us be able to do that gracefully and kindly while still holding accountable to the legislation to remove the fear and focus on support. So I'm glad, Member Hall, you mentioned it that way. That was what we're trying to accomplish. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
More to come.
Wow.
So we're gonna then move into item number 5. The item is divided into 2 parts. Our part 1 includes items for action by the COA, and part 2 are items for notification only and require no action by the COA. We have items for sections A, B, and E. Please see the insert when you're looking at this item today. Section A is for action. There's 1 program sponsor withdrawing 5 programs, and we're going to begin with Toro University, California. Toro University is closing all of its educator preparation programs in California, and by withdrawing their programs, they will no longer be a commission-approved program sponsor. The programs they're withdrawing are Preliminary Administrative Services Credential, effective August 30th, 2026. Preliminary Education Specialist Instruction Credential, Extensive Support Needs, also effective August 30, 2026. Preliminary Education Specialist Instruction Credential, Mild to Moderate Support Needs, effective August 30th, 2026. Preliminary Multiple Subject Teaching Credential, effective August 30th, 2026. And Preliminary Single Subject Teaching Credential, effective August 30th, 2026. Before we discuss this item, is there anyone recusing themselves on this item? There are none. Are there any public comments on this item?
There are no public comments.
And Administrator Hickey, was there anything you wanted to share on this item before we talked about the action on this item?
I think I just want to commend the Toro University personnel. They did a really comprehensive, thorough job of making sure every single one of their candidates who were somewhere enrolled in the program got enrolled in another program or were able to complete. So they did a really nice job. Jake Schiller of our staff kept in good touch with them to make sure that everything, and it was down to like 2 students that one hadn't paid their fees or something. It was some minor thing. And they were able to get those 2 students recommended. So they did a really nice job of making sure their candidates were taken care of. So just want to commend them.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because I think it's often a question that comes from our body here is what about the students? So thank you for sharing that. So this is, before we go to action item, are there any comments or questions on this item? It is an action item. Are there any motions on this item? We have Member Hallis.
I move that we approve the withdrawal of the Toro University, California programs.
Do we have a second on the motion? We have a Member Hall. And we'll now do a roll call vote. When called upon, please indicate your vote with aye, no, or abstain. And Ms. Bernardo, if you could please call names.
Bogdanovich.
Hi.
Malika Bryant.
Aye.
Randy Byers.
Aye.
Jenny Kiape.
Aye.
Shell Hall. Aye. Ellen Hellis.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Allison Leggett. Aye. Patrick McKee.
Aye.
Jay Sykes.
Aye.
Motion carries. And so we are going to then move on to item number B, professional preparation programs requesting reactivation. And there's one program sponsor requesting reactivation of a program, Alliant University Bilingual Added Authorization. Joining us today to answer any questions you may have about the program are Dr. Denver Fowler, Dean, School of Education, Dr. Ken Kelch, Program Director of BILA and Professor, and Mrs. Carmi Preston, Director, Office of Credentialing. Any recusals before we move forward on this item? So Administrator Gutierrez, if you would like to say anything about the reactivation.
Sure, yeah. So for a while, we hadn't seen too many of these on your agenda, but over the last few months or a couple of meetings, we've had at least one, and this is another one. So as Co-Chair McKee stated, this is for Alliance Bilingual Authorization, and they went inactive about 2024. This was leading up to their site visit. They didn't have any candidates enrolled in the program, and so on advice of the commission, they put the program on inactive status, and so it wasn't reviewed then at the site visit. So they identified a need to bring the program back. And so I've worked with them on reactivation. And so what that process looked like was we went back to their program review feedback that they had at the time of their site visit. And so I worked with them to address that feedback and making sure that it satisfied the new TPEs and program standards, which are not new anymore. But so I think, if you have any questions, they're here to answer those for you.
Do you have any questions from any of our committee members? But my wondering is probably more for Administrator here. So just a clarification, this program was not a part of the site visit, but the CTC examined the pieces that would have been looked at the site visit, that they now are on the regular site visit schedule with all their other programs. Is that kind of how it's working since it was a unique timing?
Correct. Yes, it is on the same schedule with their color cohort and regular site visit. And we looked at the program review feedback because the site visit would have looked at the program as a whole, but we wanted to make sure that the questions that the reviewers had back before the site visit were addressed.
Okay, thank you. And the institution want to briefly share anything before we take this to an action item? Thank you for joining us this morning.
I would just share our appreciation for Miranda Gutierrez's assistance in going through all of the things that she wanted to look at to make sure we're addressing the new BTPEs and so on. So we do appreciate that.
Thank you. We have a member Hallis.
Yeah, I guess I have a question. The more bilingual programs we have, the better. But I'm curious what maybe has changed since you went inactive to why you're seeing maybe more interest in this program all of a sudden.
I don't know that it was an all of a sudden issue, but the time frame between when we were approved, which was fall of 2023, and then April of 2024, the site visit, it just was too short of a period of time. And so we hadn't really gone out and marketed and promoted the program. So that really is what has changed, is our attention to, bringing that on board.
We have Co-Chair Bogdanovich.
Hey, what languages is this program for?
It's approved for Spanish and Mandarin.
Okay, thank you.
Member Bryant and then Member Hillis.
I'm curious for the institution, what you might have integrated, the learnings you might have integrated from your site visit experience into your updated program as you were addressing the questions from the feedback previously.
So at the site visit in 2024, there wasn't feedback on the bilingual program because we had no students at that time. So it was recommended that we deactivate it. So I'm not sure if that's addressing what you're asking. So then up to the current time, it was having Miranda's feedback on the things that she noticed that we're not addressing. Like I think the most part was the BTPEs in a couple of areas in assignments and rubrics. And so that was the largest area of changes that we addressed.
Okay, thank you. I was thinking more along with the common standards and those sorts of things that would have been addressed during the site visit institutionally, but that might be a broader consideration. I was just thinking about what might have potentially been addressed if the program had been active during the site visit, what you might potentially have learned from the site visit that you would apply now from the other programs within your institution.
Sure. I mean, certainly if we had candidates at that time, we would have had some data to understand their experience going through the program, the coursework. So to me, that's the biggest area that we would learn from and grow from, is having actual candidates, giving us feedback on their experience.
And Member Hillis?
Yeah, I'm just curious if you could speak a little bit about projected enrollment, because it sounds like you now have people that are interested, and I'm just kind of curious what you're anticipating will be enrollment for that.
So we have, partnerships. And so we're looking to have, we would hope a cohort. Alliant runs on every 8-week term. So we would hope to have a cohort of 15 to 30 students every 8 weeks. That might be overly optimistic initially, at least, but that would be our desire.
There are no other questions, just it's an action item, or if anyone has additional questions. Are there any additional questions or anyone want to make any motions? All right, Member Hallis.
I move to approve the reactivation of the Alliant University bilingual added authorization.
I have a second on that motion, Member Hall. We'll now do a roll call vote. When called upon, indicate your vote with aye, no, or abstain.
Jessica Bogdanovich.
Aye.
Malika Bryant.
Aye.
Randy Byers.
Aye.
Jenny Kiape.
Aye.
Michelle Hall. Ellen Hallis. Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Allison Leggett. Aye. Patrick McKee.
Aye.
Jay Sykes.
Aye.
Motion carries. So your program has been approved for reactivation, and we
Thank
hope
you.
you meet your goal of 15 to 30
Thank you.
students as we move forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We wish you the best. Thank you so much. And then during the last part, just as the norms, what it reminded me, what Co-Chair and Bogdanovich and I try to do is wait for each member to, in case there's follow-up questions, to go to, you're allowed to reframe your questions, whatever it is, just to make sure that you're able to get your knowledge before we move on to the next person. So thank you for just let us know what you need to make sure we can navigate and move along as we go into sections D and E, which is part 2. Notification purposes only, no action required. Section E, programs moving to inactive status. We have 2 programs requesting to move 2 sponsors requesting to move 3 programs to inactive status, beginning with California State University Stanislaus Teaching Specialist Reading and Literacy Added Authorization, effective August 13th, 2026. And Los Angeles Unified School District Preliminary Education Specialist Early Childhood Special Education, effective August 13th, 2026. And Education Specialist Added Authorizations Early Childhood Special Education, effective August 13th, 2026. With that, we're going to move to item number 6. I'm going to pass this over to my co-chair.
Good morning. Item 6 is initial program approval, new program sponsors. As a reminder, this item is separate from program approval items where we see the majority of the new program proposal. These items are new program proposals from institutions that have not yet offered any educator program licensure preparation. Let me start. Educator preparation licensure program in California to date, and who are going through the initial institutional approval process. Consultant Dr. Frances Keller will present this item, and she is joined by institutional representative Nanette Pessel, coordinator. Does anyone need to recuse themselves? Co-chair McKee and member Hillis. Thank you. Great. The institution is proposing two different programs. We will start with their teacher induction program. Dr. Keller, will you begin, please?
Yes, good morning, committee members. This agenda item presents Ventura Unified School District's responses to the teacher induction program standards for the Committee on Accreditation's consideration and possible initial program approval as part of the stage 4 of the initial institutional approval process. Ventura Unified School District was granted provisional approval by the Commission at its August 2025 meeting. Please note that provisional approval only authorizes an institution to offer educator preparation programs, but it is the determination of the COA on which decides whether the program or programs initially approved as indicated by the 5 stages of the IIA process chart on the last page of this item. In returning to the second page of this item, you will find a hyperlink to the final stage 4 submission from Ventura Unified School District, along with review feedback from reviewers. A team of 2 qualified reviewers collaborated on their review of the stage 4 submission and came to a consensus on a final finding of aligned for each of the proposed programs, but we're talking about teacher induction first. So for teacher induction, as introduced earlier, joining us today is Nanette Pasal. She's available to answer any programmatic questions that COA members may have.
We now invite the institutional representatives to briefly comment about the teacher induction program. Would any of you like to speak about that? Good morning.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. I have with me here Gina Wallowitz, our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, and our Director of Human Resources, Carlos Covarrubias. Well, we'd like to say thank you for the process. I've learned quite a bit, and I'm so grateful for the many institutions and a variety of different learning opportunities that we've had to get to where we're at today, and also to thank the staff for supporting us. And yeah, just super excited to be here.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from committee members? No questions or comments?
I have a question.
Oh, Member Hall.
I was just curious how many candidates you'll think you'll be serving each year at this program.
Yes, so for our teacher induction program, we expect in our first cohort, we expect about 30 year 1 candidates, but we also have this year we have an additional 20 year 2 candidates that will continue with the County Office of Education program that they're already enrolled in.
And then for the administrative program, we're just talking to teacher. We'll wait for that one.
Any other questions or comments? All right, this is an action item. Do I have a motion? Member Hall.
I move that we approve the Ventura Unified School District's teacher induction program.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Member Byers, thank you. We will now do a roll call vote. When called upon, indicate your vote with aye, no, or abstain.
Jessica Begonovich.
Aye.
Malika Bryant.
Aye.
Brandy Byers.
Aye.
Jenny Chiappe.
Aye.
Michelle Hall.
Aye.
Ellen Hallis.
Aye.
Mike Hillis. Allison Leggett.
Aye.
G Sykes. Aye.
Thank you. So that motion carries. Okay, now we will take up their Clear Administrative Services Induction Program. Dr. Keller, will you go ahead and begin, please?
Absolutely. I won't go through the whole spiel once more, but what I will say is this item here will also present Ventura Unified School District's responses to the Clear Administrative Services Program standards for the COA's consideration and possible initial program approval as part of its stage 4 of the initial institutional approval process. A team of 2 qualified reviewers also collaborated on a review of their stage 4 submission for this set of program standards and came to a consensus on a final finding of aligned for the Clear Administrative Services program standards. We have our institutional representatives here to answer any programmatic questions that COA members may have as it relates to the proposed CASC program. I'll turn it over to them.
Dr. Keller, all right, now it's time to discuss the Clear Administrative Services Induction Program. If the institution has any comments or would like to speak about that.
No, I think, again, just we have a lot to learn. So excited to be here.
All right, are there any questions or concerns, comments? Go ahead, Member Hall.
I have the same question I had before.
Yes, I'll answer it appropriately timed this time. We have anywhere from usually 1 to about 8 participants in the CASC program on any given year.
And then you have listed here as your administrative coach pool. You have a lot of people, actually. It looks like you have 12 people as options. It looks like a lot of them are part-time and retired. So how does that work exactly? Like if a retired person comes back as a coach or the part-time person comes back as a coach?
So I'll take part of that, and then I'll invite Nanette to add anything that I may have left off. But we have several retirees that have had extensive experience teaching at the university level and have participated in our other local IHE programs for preliminary credentials. And so they continue to serve in various mentoring capacities within our organizations. And so they would continue to be a part as a coach for this process. Anything you want to add, Nanette?
I don't.
I guess my follow-up question is, how are you making sure that they're current with all of the current standards and the current changes that are always happening in educator preparation?
Yeah, thank you. I understand. They certainly attend all of trainings, and many of them serve as substitute administrators in our school district. So we see their faces quite regularly. They're in our schools, and and they've been continuing to coach.
Just how they're a lot of them are teaching for some of the universities that are here within the county.
Within the preliminary programs.
You remember Bryant?
Yes, I'm just curious about which elements of your own locally designed program you're really excited about and looking forward to implementing.
Yeah, I think one thing we're excited to implement are our coaching standards. We used some different resources to build that document, and it's a way that we can really watch our coaches grow, where they have tools to move forward. Another tool that we've developed is observable evidence of administrative practices. And so that tool can help, ground practice and ground our beginning coaches so that our beginning administrators, so that they have some, like that, there's a continuum to work with, on there. So we built quite a few tools that way.
Thank you.
Member Sykes.
I have a question about the teacher induction program. I know we've made a motion on that. Is it okay to ask that?
Yes.
The question I have for you all is, I was looking and I see that the ILP really reflects like a collaborative focus and is very growth oriented. And I was really curious to hear, like, what are some ways that your program has candidates incorporate their goals from their IDP of their teacher prep program into the ILP. I saw that the IDP was referenced in the ILP, but was looking like, how is that used as a tool or a springboard to inform the ILP?
Yeah, it's an important piece. It's so clearly mentioned in the standards that needs to take place. So we have it embedded in one of the documents that the mentor and the candidate use to initially assess practice and kind of get ground, get grounded in where the candidate currently is. So at that point, they discuss that with their mentor deeply, and they link the document. We make sure that the document exists. And then when it comes time to create the goals, we encourage, and through trainings and through our gatherings, we encourage them to consider those goals from the IDP and, build it and weave it into their current goals. Not required that they create the exact goal, but it certainly should influence the goal that they create.
Thank you.
Member Hallis.
Question on the administrative program. I know part of the eligibility says they have to have an administrative position in the Ventura Unified School District. Have you thought some if, for whatever reason, a candidate leaves or goes to another district, the type of ongoing support or transportability the program would offer?
It is an excellent question, and we have considered that, and we would be definitely open to that, to continue to support administrators should they leave and should they remain locally within our county. We would be open to that, absolutely.
Any other comments or questions? All right, this is an action item. Do I have a motion? Member Sykes.
I motion that we move to approve the Career Administrative Services Credential Program from Ventura Education, Ventura County Office of Education.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I think it's Ventura.
Ventura Unified.
Ventura Unified, thank you.
Member Leggett, thank you. All right, we will now do a roll call vote. When called upon, indicate your vote with aye, no, or abstain. Staff, please call names.
Jessica Bogdanovich.
Aye.
Malika Bryant.
Aye.
Randy Byers.
Aye.
Jenny Kiape.
Aye.
Michelle Hall. Aye. Ellen Hallis.
Aye.
Allison Leggett. Jay Sykes.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Pacell and Dr. Keller for your attendance, and to the other institutional representatives. Good luck on your programs, and we hope to see wonderful educators coming from that induction. Thank you. All right. Item 7 is discussion of institutions not in compliance with accreditation timelines, and there are no outstanding items to report at this time. I will now turn it over to my co-chair, McKee.
Yeah. It's a good question. We could probably just do that, yeah.
So just a clarification on process. I think on the last vote, we may not have done public comment.
Oh.
And so what we would like to do then is, could we reopen for public comment, and then we'd have to go back and redo the vote. So
If there's a comment.
if there's a
no
comment, so we may have to recuse again, just to,
Thank you for that catch.
when you're in the audience, it's different. So what we'll just do for the audience, if there's any public comment on the last two items.
So Ventura Unified.
Ventura Unified
Action or Clear Administrative Services.
No public comments.
Good.
Okay.
Well, not good. I mean, definitely we welcome public comment. We just would have to navigate differently. All comments are welcome in our day. So we're gonna move on to our next item. So thank you so much. We're gonna go back to item number 9, and now, I'm sorry, item number 8, and now we're on item number 9. Item number 9 is the discussion of the third quarterly report for CSU Channel Islands. Consultant Dr. Frances Keller will present this item. She's joined by institutional representative Catherine Howard, Dean, School of Education. And does anyone need to recuse himself on item number 9? Member Hillis? And then Dr. Keller, welcome back. You may begin.
And let's see if we can get
Oh, yes, we need
Dean Howard.
Dean Howard.
Yeah,
I don't see anybody.
I know we're a little early, I think,
Yeah, we're running
Okay.
just a tad bit early.
which isn't bad. Let me message
No
her.
worries. We'll
The institution's not on
It's not on yet. Yeah.
Well, do you want to adjust the break time?
You can take a break now.
We're 10, are we about 10 minutes off?
Mhm.
Might be best in our use of time to give Dr. Howard some time. So what we'll do then is let's just take the 10-minute break we normally do and come back at 10:05. It'll give Dr. Howard some time. And then I believe for our committee members at 10 o'clock, they open up to do lunch orders. So we're kind of in a good timing there to do your lunch orders. Our lunch break today will be at noon. So when you do the order, just remember to do a schedule pickup for noon. Don't put the order in for now because then it'll be ready now. So we'll go ahead and go on break and come back in 10 minutes.
Francis, I assume you're letting Dr. Howard know. Great. And the next looker for that is I know. I know. Like that.
What we can do is eat him. And I know. So we have Dr. Keller back. Square, center square. All right, thank you so much. And so what we're going to move back to, thank you so much. Glad to have you here. Dean Howard, we were moving a little bit further ahead of schedule than we had expected. So we wanted to pause and make sure that you were here just so that you can hear the introduction. We're here to discuss the third quarterly report for CSU Channel Islands. Dr. Keller will be presenting this item, and thank you for joining us, Dr. Catherine Howard, Dean, School of Education. We had member Hillis is recusing himself, and Dr. Keller is ready to begin. So thank you, Dr. Keller.
Hello again. Good morning, committee members. Item 9 presents the California State University at Channel Islands third quarterly report. As a refresher, an accreditation visit was held for CSUCI on October 5th through the 8th, 2025. And the report of that visit was presented at the COA at its October 2025 meeting. Following discussion and deliberation of the report and its recommendations, the COA took action to set the accreditation status to be accreditation with major stipulations. One of the stipulations requires that CSU Channel Islands provide quarterly reports. So this item presents the third of these quarterly reports. A link to the site visits team accreditation report, as was presented at the October 2025 meeting, is linked on page 1 of this item. A link to the third quarterly report for CSU Channel Islands can be found on their quarterly reports webpage, and that's linked on page 2 of this item. The 6 stipulations that CSUCI is required to address through these quarterly reports are listed on pages 2 through 3 of this item. And as a reminder, some of the broader themes of the findings by the accreditation site visit team included concerns regarding institutional and programmatic structures for data and progress monitoring, design and implementation of a comprehensive continuous improvement process, and within the education specialist program, that new content, activities, assignments, and evaluation criteria have been added to address alignment within the program standards and the teaching performance expectations. In this third quarterly report, members may take note of recent actions to address those stipulations. Staff is recommending that this report be accepted as CSU Channel Islands continues its progress in addressing the stipulations. In the subsequent quarterly reports, we have one more following this one. So now I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Catherine Howard to briefly comment this report.
Hi, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate your time and thank you for waiting for us to arrive here in the room. The third quarterly report, I would say, is a little bit thinner than we had hoped. I was taking over as the new dean of this School of Education. There was a bit of transition going on right there during that time period where we would be submitting the quarterly reports. So my issue here is that I wish we had more evidence for you, but there are some strong evidence-backed progress that we've been making. strongest one I would say is the education specialist program content revisions. That program has been working very deliberately, and over the course of the past 6 months or 8 months, they've developed new rubrics, syllabi, and procedures and plans for the fieldwork components to ensure that all of the stipulations are met and that to fully address the disability characteristics, case management, and grade span gaps that CTC had flagged. And then for tracking systems, we've made great progress. We've implemented the PeopleSoft credential mod, and it went live on March 2026. And we have set it up so that it meets all of our specific criteria and the different things that we need to track. And our credential counselors worked over the summer to input each student who is either an active student currently or going to be entering the program for this year. So it is, as of now, implemented for the upcoming year. And it will be tracking everything from their application through the requirements that they've met, through fieldwork verification and evaluation, the fieldwork that they engage in, including one of the things I really like about it is that for the education specialist program, we can have multiple rows about the different kinds of field work that they are getting with notes and comments about the specific characteristic that that field work meets. And I know that they built that into their rubrics as well. So we will be able to provide evidence of this system fully implemented on our next quarterly report. Also, we've had some changes with the continuous improvement plan because our campus-wide academic senate assessment policy it dovetails really well with what we were planning to do. So I reported in here that we have a lot of plans for dovetailing on that system with our own SOE system. And we've started making progress on implementing Airtable for a number of different structures that we still need to implement in our Q4 report. I know it seems as though our advisory board groups are not constituted or meeting, but the transition to the new dean did cause us to not have an advisory board at the end of the spring term. So we're going to be continuing with the advisory boards this upcoming year.
Thank you so much. Now an opportunity for public comments.
There are no public comments.
Thank you so much. And now it's opportunities for questions and comments from our committee members. And as we begin, Dean Howard, I want to give you commendation that you actually, in my opinion, done a lot of work. I know you said that you wish there was more to be done. And so just kudos to you for your own acknowledgements of what you want to be able to accomplish. But I also want in the same breath acknowledge and thank you for the depth of the work that is within the quarterly report and all that you are doing during the transition. Transitions aren't easy, but a lot is being done. So definitely want to give you some credit for that as well.
Thank you.
We have Co-Chair Bogdanovich.
Hi, good morning. Yes, you have done a lot of work, and it sounds like the Canvas system that you've created will be very helpful in tracking different pieces of evidence and data. I have a couple questions. One, you mentioned that it will be tracking different components and assessments and things like that, but it really doesn't say how it will be monitored, who will be monitoring it, and what happens as a result of that monitoring. That's my first question.
That's a great question, and this is a new system for us. I did use it at my previous campus. It is available. It's basically through PeopleSoft, and what it provides, we're still building, is a number of queries that we can download. So it's all of the data, notes, documents, those types of things about a specific student will be in there. This is not TPE aligned tracking. This is the type of tracking that will help us to see the basic requirements, any advising, any updates about specific students and their placements and how they track through the program. And so we are able to build queries that the program coordinators and the chair can download at any time. And so they also have access to the system. So let's say they have a student, they're not sure where this student is or what happened with them. They can log in at any time and see all of this information about each of their students. So there's two ways that they will be using the information. One is on a case-by-case basis when they need to know more about the student. And secondly, if, to see the big picture of all of their students, such as test scores or the progress that students are making through their program. So that's available to faculty and program coordinators and advisors. The other thing is our credential counselors they're already loving it. They're going to be entering, instead of having all of these separate spreadsheets that they have to go back and check and track, it's all in one place, and they can, again, download queries or look for specific students as they make their way through the program.
It says in your Q3 that the system will collect assessment plans, the 5-year assessment schedule, program learning outcomes, matrices. So where is that going to be housed and how is that monitored at a higher level?
Okay, so are you referring to the continuous improvement?
The Airtable and Canvas?
Okay. Yeah, basically we're moving more toward using Airtable, and Canvas will be a repository for that information. Airtable, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it's able to pull information from multiple different spreadsheets and forms and compile it in one database where you can create visuals or charts to see how things are going. And so that's why we've decided to move more toward Airtable for tracking really more improvement related information. So that's where we can, for example, take a spreadsheet query from PeopleSoft and include it in our Airtable app that we're planning to build. Canvas is a system for us to have a repository where people can go and look for that information. So for example, for Chris's program, he would be able to go in and pull that information and bring it to his program meetings in order to have continuous improvement conversations. But there's some information, I can't remember off the top of my head exactly which information. Our university-wide assessment team has itself implemented a plan for all of our programs to submit annual program goals and reports through their system. So that's another place where prior to this, it was only degree programs that were expected to do that. It will include graduate programs and credential programs as well. So our campus-wide team, in fact, our assessment analyst was pulled to the campus-wide team so that she and that whole team will be supporting our assessment efforts.
I have one follow-up. It is based on continuous improvement because that is, the breadth and depth of our programs. And I appreciate the extra or additional information that you've provided. It talks a lot about how you're going to collect assessments and PLOs, but what evidence is going to be collected from the discussions of the PLOs, the alignment to assessments, the alignment to TPEs? Are they key assessments or key assignments? What does it look like for data?
For us, currently, we have a system. First of all, our observation rubrics are a lot of our key assessments for the TPEs are in our observation and evaluation rubrics in clinical practice. So those are all within our student learning and licensure system, and we can pull reports about specific TPEs or specific alignments with things that we're working on or aspects of our student performance that we feel need to be improved. We also have what we call signature assignments. Signature assignments are throughout the coursework. Some of them are based in clinical practice. Some of them are other types of assignments that students will be doing to demonstrate that they're learning and that we are assessing what all of the standards for the program. And so those are also in SLNL, and we have standards aligned rubrics for those that we can also track how our students are doing on those specific standards.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from other committee members? This is their quarterly report, so it is also an action item. If there are no other comments or questions, is there any motion? Bless you.
Thank you.
We have Member Hall.
I move that we accept the quarterly report from Cal State Channel Islands.
Do we have a second on that? We have Member Hallis. We'll do a roll call vote now. When called upon, please indicate your vote with aye, no, or abstain. Ms. Barrow.
Bogdanovich.
Aye.
Micah Bryant. Malika Bryant.
Aye.
Brandy Byers.
Aye.
Jenny Kiope.
Aye.
Shell Hall.
Aye.
Ellen Hallis.
Aye.
Allison Liggett.
Aye.
Patrick McKee.
Aye.
Jay Sykes.
Aye. So motion carries. We want to thank you again for your hard work and dedication as you move forward. We look forward to hearing from you again at the next quarter and wish you a great kickoff to the school year.
Thank you so much. Thanks for all of your work as well.
Thank you. Before we move to item 10, just a quick reminder on our agenda today, we are going to move on to agenda item 17. And I'm going to pass this over to Co-Chair Bogdanovich.
Oh, now?
I thought it was.
You're not doing 10.
We are going to do item 10 first. Can't read my own notes. So like I was saying, we're on item 10. The discussion of that when I saw William Patrick sit there, I'm like, I think I might be off or he's off. We'll figure this out. It's me. Discussion of third quarterly report for Los Angeles Pacific University consultant William Patrick. He'll be introducing this item. Joining him today is our institutional representative, Gordon Jorgensen. We have the assistant dean. It looks like he may be joining us as we move forward. Is anyone recusing himself on this item? No recusals, and we'll just up there he is. Welcome, Mr. Jorgensen and Mr. Patrick. You can go ahead and begin.
All right, good morning, committee members. Agenda item number 9 presents the information from the third quarterly report submitted by Los Angeles Pacific University. As a reminder, their provisional site visit was held last October, and they were granted accreditation with major stipulations. Information and evidence was submitted to CTC several weeks ago related to each stipulation, and that's summarized for you in the agenda item. And here are some highlights of updates since the last quarterly report in April. A new multiple subject program website was launched and is linked in all their coursework and handbooks now. Their candidate exit surveys were distributed at the end of the spring semester, and responses were shared at the July faculty meeting and also reviewed with their program staff. The end of course surveys for faculty and candidates were also operationalized, and that data was shared with individual faculty and again reviewed by program staff, which also led to some course revisions in some cases. Feedback from district partners and school administrators is obtained through the advisory council meetings, and an employer placement survey will be sent to all program completers, which hopefully will allow for better follow-up with the employing districts. All fall semester mentor teachers have been sent surveys to determine who may need any additional training to meet the 10 hours requirement. And those who do need more professional development will continue to be provided links to the PD4 modules at no cost. The TPA implementation continues with the most recent Cal TPA updates. and looking at any changes that may be necessary to determine if curricular updates are also needed. And the clinical supervisor forms were updated to better align with the math and literacy cycles of the TPA. A focused revisit will take place November 16th to 17th, and then I'll present that report to you at your next regularly scheduled meeting. And then I just also wanted to point out on page 2 of the item, there's a short paragraph there about a name change that LA Pacific will be undergoing beginning this fall. They will be operating as Azusa Pacific University Global beginning this September. And basically it's going to be all online programs that they're operating, the ones they currently have, and then partnering with Azusa Pacific University Global, but it really is a change in name only. So just wanted to point that out.
Thank you so much. We now invite our institutional representatives. Mr. Jorgensen, welcome back. Would you like to share or briefly comment on this quarterly report?
First off, just thanks to William. He is a godsend throughout this process, just bouncing ideas back and forth for how to address the stipulations has been huge for us. We're kind of a small but mighty little team here at LAPU, and I almost feel like I should be paying him as part of my staff because of all the help that he's been giving us.
Wow.
Don't know if that would be accepted in terms of ethical considerations, but nonetheless, I seriously want to say thanks to William. Also, thanks to Barbara Howard from Concordia. She was on our site visit team, and I've talked to her a few times about continuous improvement, and she's been super helpful. I can talk about the name change either before we talk about the report or after. People probably have questions about that. So maybe we can discuss that maybe as a separate item at the end. I would say just other than that, the biggest thing we've tried to focus on in this third quarter is systematizing and operationalizing all these things. There are a lot of different things that we've been trying to do, but trying to get a grasp on how to operationalize everything has been our focus, and William's given us some good ideas and we've used those. I think we're in a really good place in terms of being able to collect data, analyze the data, and report out the data to our different constituent groups, whether that's program staff or program faculty or advisory board. We had some really good meetings in the last couple months with all of those groups to talk about this whole idea that I'm kind of preaching to them. How do we operationalize all of this so that it just becomes a part of the fabric of what we do? So we're pretty happy about that. Feel really good about the visit. Part of me wants to just have the visit next week and get on with it. But we're looking forward to November.
Thank you so much. And before we move on to public comment, if you want to briefly just share about the name change, you're welcome to do so, and then we'll move to public comment.
So I'm not sure if the committee knows, but LAPU originally spun off from Azusa Pacific, and we ended up going after our own accreditation, which was awarded in 2018. And the biggest reason for that was we spun off as the online programs version of APU at that time. So any programs that were fully online were our responsibility. The tough thing about being an online program education is you need to be nimble and quick. You can't take a whole year to make program changes or things like that. And working under the old traditional faculty governance model was frankly killing us. So that's why we got our own separate accreditation, because we need to move faster, frankly, to be able to keep up with everything. And so we did that in 2018, and what's happened since then is instead of, being partners, we've kind of drifted away from each other quite a bit because of the differences in what we do and how we offer programs. And so we got a new president last year. APU got a new president 4 years ago. And those two presidents have been talking for the last year since our new president came on board, Dr. Goyne. And they came to the conclusion that we needed to strengthen that partnership because APU, Azusa Pacific, has tried to do some online programs in the meantime, and they've kind of self-admitted they haven't been doing very good at it. And after looking at what we do, the two presidents came to the decision a few months back that moving forward from September, if a program is offered fully online, it's going to be APU Global. If a program is offered face-to-face or hybrid, it'll stay under APU. And the great thing about this is that we'll start partnering and using marketing budgets from both schools to advertise for everyone. I think it's going to help us a lot in terms of brand and name recognition because I spend a ton of time explaining to people who Los Angeles Pacific is because we're new, nobody knows who we are. And then once we make the connection to being part of the Azusa Pacific system, everybody kind of gets it. But the name change will help change that perception. We'll also be on each other's websites starting in September, so it'll be easy for students to find not just the program they want, but the modality that they want. If they want to do their credential fully online, they'll come our way. If they want to do it traditional face-to-face hybrid, they'll stay at APU, and vice versa. So that's kind of what's happening. In terms of our structure, we still will remain separately accredited, separate governance, separate board, separate presidents. The two presidents are members of each institution's board, so there's still partnership, but we're still functionally separate when it comes to governance accreditation. So that part won't change.
I appreciate you sharing that because that'll be an impact for it. But Administrator, if you just want to add, just jumping in on this piece.
Well, this is sort of the little known piece of what I do that I'm trying to make sure that other staff know as I walk out the door. Because we often hear, well, I shouldn't say we often, over the last 10 years, there has been a lot of change particularly in private post-secondary institutions. And an institution will come to us and say, we're changing our name. And that is never the end of the story for us. So we always want to evaluate whether or not it's just a name change or is it more significant than that? Are they now really a different institution than that was previously approved? So thanks to Gordon, he shared with me WASC. So we always say, what does WASC say? Or what does your regional accreditation say? And it was clear that they had analyzed it and determined it was just a name change. But we always ask, did your governance body change at all? Did your accreditation change at all? And try to figure out whether the locus of control has changed. And some of the cases have been complicated to work through. We've had a number of these in the past. So I just wanted you to know that there is work that happens behind the scenes to understand whether, you're really a different institution. You need to go through IIA. Because that's not the institution we approved. In this case, it was clear it was a name change. And so thank you for the quick response on this, but just so you know, that's another part of what we do.
And I think it speaks to your leadership and the CTC's leadership as well, because you're doing all the behind the scenes work that then we're over here just approving items that we know that you guys have really looked into and researched. That if you're going to do a DBA, is it really a DBA doing business as, or is it a totally different institution, which makes sense. I know Azusa Pacific comes before us recently. I think they did as well. So with that, we're going to move to public comment. Is there any public comment on this item?
No public comment.
Thank you. Opportunities for any questions or comments from our community members. Yeah, Member Hallis.
Howdy. Thank you for the hard work on these reports. I did note the clinical supervisor evaluation forms have been updated for the MPA and LPA language and items. Has the clinical supervision experiences for the candidates been updated or changed at all as well? Or is it just the forms?
Yeah, we are actually in progress right now for making course updates for the fall 1 courses because we just got the new version 2 updates, I think on the 15th of last month, something like that, recently. But yeah, we're working on that. The part that we finished first was kind of the easier part, making sure that the new templates get updated into the courses for students. But then in terms of like actual course content, we're still working through that. Probably we'll be finished with that sometime like the end of next week because we have deadlines to get to. Those classes will start September 8th. So the nice thing about working at LAPU, soon to be APU Global, is when we come up with changes like this, because of the way we work in our business model, I don't have to go get 5 different committees' approval for a change before we can actually put the change into a course, which used to be maddening. I used to work at APU before moving over with some folks. So yeah, it'll be pretty easy for us to do that. You know, it's as simple as me connecting with an instructional designer on our DLS team to make those changes. So those should be done by next week in the courses for the students.
Thank you for explaining.
Yeah, Member Leggett.
Thank you so much for your hard work. I understand in working a fully online program, the challenges of training, maintaining loyalty for adjuncts. And I've noticed that you've looked at feedback and made some changes to the onboarding process. Can you share more insights, into how those changes were made and what changes have been made?
So the feedback came through our adjunct faculty survey that we send out at the end of each semester. And there were some responses in there that noted some gaps in our onboarding process. And we took that feedback to our HR team and actually we brought a couple of adjuncts into a meeting with HR just to give a little bit of firsthand knowledge, because it's really different when HR brings on a full-time employee versus when they bring on a part-time adjunct. So we talked through those issues and they were happy to make changes to that onboarding process. And the cool thing is, I just got 2 emails this morning for 2 adjuncts that I finally got through the hiring process. And the welcome email is so cool. It's not just full of the information, but it's inviting and it's warm and it's personable. Those were some of the things that really were missing the most, was that they just didn't feel connected to us well enough. So we've done some work to make that better, and that's kind of how we work through that process.
Thank you.
Member Sykes.
And my question is around continuous improvement or common standard 4. And I was wondering if you could talk more about what you've noticed in the data with the survey, the end of course student surveys or the student exit surveys, as well as the employer placement surveys.
Yeah. So first, we haven't launched the employer placement survey yet. Its first iteration is going to go out in September. But as far as the student surveys, the most interesting thing about the surveys is how complimentary they are to our faculty. Our students love their instructors and their clinical supervisors. I think a lot of that, I don't know how much I should. We teach from a Christian biblical worldview, which makes us put caring for others at a really high premium. So even though we're teaching things like the TPEs and content standards, we're trying to do it in a way that's compassionate and caring for our students, because most of our students are older than a traditional student. They're in their 30s. They're working a full-time job sometimes. They have kids of their own. And so we're doing things in a different way. And the crazy good thing about the survey results is they're really good. They're super strong. I mean, there wasn't anything in the spring group of surveys that made us scratch our head and think, okay, we need to fix something over here. It was mostly just really complimentary feedback in that group of surveys, which was really nice. It's affirming in a sense, but noting that we also have a success coach model at LAPU where students have a success coach that walks through them the entire time they're in their program. So we get constant feedback if there are ever issues. So one of the good things about that coaching model is if problems do crop up, we hear about them a lot faster than probably normal program candidates because of that coach that's there walking alongside them. So I would say that's probably been the most exciting. The other thing I will say about continuous improvement is in the fall, all of these evaluations and observation forms that we used for clinical supervisors and cooperating teachers were essentially Word docs with rating scales, Likert scales, extra comments, and it was a bear going through that trying to produce meaningful data. And so we've transitioned away from those into putting them into Google Forms so that we could evaluate the data much easier. And it's been phenomenal to be able to, one of the things that, well, I'll talk about that in a second, but just to be able to take the spreadsheet forms data and put it into reports and graphs so that people can easily see how the responses, what they're communicating to us. That's been a huge help. But we had some faculty meetings in July where we're presenting all this data, and I think what happens a lot of the time when you're going through large quantities of data is the audience starts getting glossed over at a point because this is another report of something else and another report of something else. And after talking with the faculty, we came up with this idea of instead of going from the data from this survey and the data of that survey and the data from this evaluations and the data from these observation reports, we're trying something new. So we took all that data and we dumped it into generative AI and asked it to produce a concise annual report just because we didn't have a better name for it. And the results have been really cool. I think that's where we're probably going to move to because it's able to pick up the highlights in the data better, whether they're good or bad, instead of being inundated by chart after chart after chart after chart. So that's something that came out of the faculty meeting in July. So we're toying with it right now. We don't have anything really perfected. Probably before the next quarterly report, I hope to have one of those that we can include because I think it'll be a more powerful representation of what we say is continuous improvement because it can put all those things together in a more meaningful way.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions from any of our committee members? This is also an action item since this is their third quarterly report. If there are no more questions, are there any motions? Member Hall.
I move to approve the third quarterly report from Los Angeles Pacific University.
Thank you so much. Do we have a second? We have Member Leggett. We'll now do a roll call vote. When called upon, please indicate your vote with aye, no, or abstain. Staff, if you could call names, please.
Jessica Begonovich.
Aye.
Malika Bryant.
Aye.
Randy Byers. Aye. Yogi. Aye. Michelle Hall. Aye. Ellen Hallis.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Allison Leggett. Aye. Patrick McKee.
Aye.
Jason.
Aye.
Motion carries in the accepting of the report. Mr. Jorgensen, we just want to thank you so much for all of your hard work and continuous improvement and seeing your program evolve over our time with us. We look forward to seeing you with I think you said new name will be the next time around we see you. So we wish you the best as you start the school year.
Appreciate that. Thanks again, William. Appreciate you.
All right, thank you. And now we're moving forward, if I have this correct this time, to item number 17, which I'm going to pass over to my co-chair.
Right, so item 17 is the nominations and elections of co-chairs for 2026-27. Administrator Cheryl Hickey will present this item. If you would begin, please.
Happy to. All right. This agenda item before you outlines the process begun at the last COA meeting to nominate and elect two co-chairs for the 2026-27 academic year, fiscal year, same thing. One from PK-12 and on the COA and one from higher education membership on the COA. We are conducting this nomination and election process pursuant to the COA's procedures manual. We will complete this process by asking for additional nominations first for IHE co-chair position and then asking for a vote. We will then do the same process for PK-12 co-chair position. So to begin with, the IHE co-chair position, you'll recall at the last meeting, we called for nominations for the IHE membership and Jessica Bogdanovich was nominated. Member Bogdanovich then indicated a willingness to serve at that time. So at this time, I would like to ask whether there are any other nominations from the IHE membership on the COA. I don't see any, so I would now like to close the nominations for the IHE co-chair position. Member Bogdanovich has been nominated. All those in favor of electing Member Bogdanovich as your co-chair, oh, I was going to say aye, but we have to do a roll call vote. So, Michelle, do you want to go ahead and share all those?
Malika Bryant,
Aye.
Brandy Byers.
Aye.
Jenny Chiappe.
Aye.
Shell Hall. Aye. Ellen Hallis.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Allison Leggett.
Aye.
Patrick McKee.
Aye.
Jay Sykes.
Aye.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Would you like to say anything?
Just, yeah, this was a huge learning curve this year, and I think I finally got it. So moving into next year, I really appreciate all of your support and can't wait to serve again.
Awesome. Congratulations. All right, so moving to the PK-12 co-chair position, Patrick McKee was nominated to serve at the last COA meeting from the PK-12 membership of the COA. Member McKee has agreed to serve. Do we have any other nominees at this time from the PK-12 membership on the committee?
We need to make since he's served to.
I'm getting to that. That's next. All right, so I will now close the nominations for the PK-12 position. And as the item mentioned, section 202 of the COA's procedure manual limits committee members to 2 one-year terms. So in order to elect someone that has already served 2 terms, a separate vote is needed to take place to suspend your own procedures manual, section 202. So because member McKee has served 2 terms. So do we have a motion to suspend section 202 of your procedures manual? All right, Hallis. Too many. Do we have a second? All right, from Chiappe. All right, and then can we call for the vote, please, on this one?
Jessica Bogdanovich.
Aye.
Malika Bryant.
Aye.
Brandy Byers.
Aye.
Nick Chiappe.
Aye.
Shell Hall.
Aye.
Ellen Hallis.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Allison Leggett.
Aye.
Jay Sykes.
Aye.
Okay, so we've now waived section 202. Now we have to do the election of member McKee as the co-chair. So go ahead and read the vote one more time.
Jessica Bogdanovich.
Aye.
Malika Bryant.
Aye.
Brandy Byers.
Aye.
Jenny Chiappe.
Aye.
Shell Hall.
Aye.
Ellen Hallis.
Aye.
Mike Hillis.
Aye.
Allison Leggett.
Aye.
Jay Sykes.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. We have two chairs. All right, would you like to say?
I'd like to thank the Academy. No, I just thank you all for the collaboration and the grace. The two of us are never going to be perfect on everything, but we appreciate the team and we're here just for the team. And so I just thank you. It's an honor to work alongside all of you. So I appreciate that. And it's nice to have the levity along times when we go to the wrong agenda item or whatever, that we can get everyone back to the right page. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Great.
I need to get to the.
You're going back to.
Item 8 is the report of the accreditation site visit team to CSU San Bernardino, and consultant Jake Schuler will present this item. He is joined by lead Mimi Miller and institutional representatives Shinaka Damwachuku and Becky Sumbera and Dr. Marita Mahoney. And they are Dean, Interim Associate Dean, and Special Assistant to the Dean and Director of the Office of Assessment and Accreditation in that order. All right, Jake, welcome. Would you like to begin?
We need recusals.
Oh, any recusals? Sorry. Yes, my co-chair McKee and member Hallis need to recuse themselves. Thank you for the reminder. Right now, Jake, you may begin.
Thank you so much. And good morning again, committee members. Thanks for your kind words for our amazing administrator, Cheryl Hickey, this morning too, by the way. She is such a great mentor. Sorry, we'll get to the item in a second. I know we'll get to see more over the next few weeks, but you know, she keeps us in order. She keeps things like very strict and serious, but like it always feels light, you know, even when you're enforcing the rules. And anyway, I wanted to give another shout out to Cheryl and excited for you that this is your last COA meeting as administrator. Okay, so good morning, everyone. The California State University San Bernardino site visit took place April 12th through 15th, 2026. The visit was conducted by video via Zoom, and the team interviewed a total of 809 individuals. I feel like that's a very big number. Can't remember if anybody's gotten over 1,000, but not a lot. We had a lot. So during the 4-day visit, we did those interviews. And as you heard, the team at CSU San Bernardino was led by this great group that's on the screen here. See them now. And yes, so Chinaka, Becky, and Marita were really wonderful to work with throughout the year. And they were very thorough in their preparation. We met monthly. They gave updates all the time. There were a lot of moving pieces. They have a really great team too. And I think a lot of them are probably watching. So these three really were our leadership team throughout the year, but they also had program leads join us monthly as needed. And they are a really dedicated, fantastic group. Also joining us today by Zoom, as you'll see, is our team lead, Dr. Mimi Miller. There she is. Mimi and I have worked together quite a few times, and she's a joy to work with and was a fantastic leader on this visit as well. I also want to thank our site visit team members who completed those 809 interviews and also worked on a great report, and they were a great group of people to work with. So that was Mahmoud Soliman, Terry Pieretti, Rebecca Wardlow, Charlie Rodriguez, Mariana Harris, Michelle Dean, Mary Young, Jill Anderson, Carrie Morgan, and Randy Fall. Last but not least, I had a co-consultant on this visit, Kiyomi Meeker. She's out of the office, so she's not presenting today, but she was very instrumental in the visit. It was great to work with her as well. All right, I'm going to stop and turn it over to Mimi, who's going to present the findings and the accreditation recommendation.
Good morning, committee. Thank you for the opportunity to present this report on behalf of the site visit team. I'm going to echo Jake and the committee's gratitude to Cheryl Hickey for all of her support. From the perspective of both being someone at an institution who's worked with Cheryl on accreditation and as part of the Board of Institutional Review volunteers. So thank you, Cheryl, so much, and congratulations on your well-deserved retirement.
Thank you, Mimi. Appreciate it.
Next, as an introduction to the report, I'll share first just a short summary of strengths and areas for growth that we found, and then I'll provide further details from the report. The team found that the Watson College of Education at CSU San Bernardino demonstrates a strong commitment to preparing educators who are responsive to the needs of the very diverse communities that they serve. WCOE maintains deep and sustained partnerships with their local school districts and community organizations, many of which are led by their own program alumni. These partnerships contribute to a coherent system of educator preparation that's closely aligned with the workforce needs in their area, which is the Inland Empire. Across interviews, stakeholders consistently describe candidates as well-prepared and work-ready. That phrase was used a lot, noting that they are prepared on day one to effectively support culturally and linguistically diverse learners. A collaborative and student-centered culture is evidenced across all stakeholder groups with coordinated systems in place to support candidates from admission through credential recommendation. So while the unit demonstrates many strengths, the team also identified areas for continued growth. These include program coordinator capacity, consistency in clinical practice experiences, and development of a comprehensive, systematic, unit-wide approach to continuous improvement. In addition, and you'll see this in the report, the team noted that the career and technical education, CTE, and adult education programs require some further attention in order to fully meet program standards. Overall, the team found that WCOE operates as a collaborative and responsive unit with a strong regional impact. So kind of with that summary, I'm now going to turn my attention to the report itself and just kind of review some of the findings starting, if you have the report, starting on page 3. So just to kind of summarize some of the program findings, all program standards for multiple, preliminary multiple subject and single subject programs were met, except for program standard 3, which was met with concerns. All program standards for bilingual authorization program were met. All program standards for preliminary education specialist, mild to moderate support needs and extensive support needs credential, plus the early childhood special education credential were met, except for program standard 3, which was met with concerns. All standards for program standards for adapted physical education were met, except for program standard 9, that was met with concerns. Going to page 4, all program standards for pupil personnel services, school counseling, pupil personnel services, school psychology, and preliminary administrative services credentials were met. For designated subjects, career technical education, program standards 1 and 2 were met with concerns, and program standards 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 were not met. For designated subjects, adult education credential program, program standard 1 was met with concerns, and program standards 2, 3, and 4 were not met. And just a note about that, the designated subjects, special subjects, and supervision and coordination credential programs were not reviewed as part of the credential site visit and were moved to inactive accreditation status at the COA meeting in April. So we did not review that designated subjects for supervision and coordination. For common standards 1, 2, and 5 were met, and common standards 3 and 4 were met with concerns. So given the above findings, the review team recommends to the committee an accreditation status of accreditation with stipulations. And following our the recommended stipulations. So first of all, for program standards, for the designated subjects programs within 1 year, that WCOE would provide a report that addresses all CTE and adult education program standards. And kind of further with that recommendation, due to the nature in which CTE and adult education preliminary credentials are issued, we're recommending that the institution shall not be permitted to recommend candidates for a preliminary CTE or adult education credential until all standards have been addressed and the 7th year report is accepted by the COA. For all other credential programs, within 1 year, the institution provide a report to address each program standard which was met with concerns. So that's the stipulations for program standards. Now moving on to the common standards. For common standard 3, the stipulation is that within 1 year, the institution provide a report that addresses each element of common standard 3 that was inconsistently evidenced. These include the following. Those are spelled out in A, B, and C. Site-based supervisors must be certified and experienced in teaching the specific content or performing the services authorized by the credential. That those site-based supervisors are trained in supervision and evaluated and recognized in a systematic manner, and that all programs effectively implement and evaluate fieldwork and clinical practice. So for Common Standard 4, the stipulation is that within 1 year, the institution provide a report that addresses each element of Common Standard 4 that was inconsistently evidenced. And these are the pieces, the developing and implementing a comprehensive continuous improvement process, both at the unit level and within each of its programs. And then both the unit and its programs regularly and systematically collect, analyze, and use candidate and program completer data, as well as data reflecting the effectiveness of unit operations to improve their services. So finally, a 6-month report, we're recommending that within 6 months that WCOE provide a 6-month report to the COA on the progress made to address each of those stipulations. So thank you. I'm going to conclude there and pass it back over to Jake.
Thanks, Mimi. Okay, so just a note that if the committee agrees with the team's recommendation, I would still be working as consultant with the institution to work on each of the stipulations listed in the report. Also, a note on page 4 of the item where it lists the standards that were met or met with concerns for each program. So in the chart at the beginning and within the program reports, it notes each of the standards for career technical education and adult education. But on page 4, there's an omission there that I missed where it says were not met. It should also include for CTE, it should say also not met for standards 8 through 16. And for adult education, it should say also for standards 5 through 13. And the reason that those are kind of left off there is, as you'll see under the chart on page 2, those are really standards that are subsumed underneath the reference within the category 1 standards, which are really the design standards. The second set of standards, category 2 for each of those programs, are really the competencies that are addressed within coursework in the program. So that's why those are addressed differently. Okay, and we can turn it back over to the committee.
So we now invite the institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. We remind you that this is not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather to provide any thoughts you had about the visit. So welcome, thank you for coming, and I can't imagine whoever organized over 800 interviews. Well done, I commend you.
Thank you so much. I just want to start. My name is Chinaka Donwachuku, and I serve as the Dean of Watson College of Education. It has been quite a positive experience for us because accreditation is a time for us to look more critically at what we do. And it's been a lot of learning experience for us. So I want to thank Jake and Kiyomi for working with us for those number of years as consultants and continuing to work with us. And I want to thank Mimi. You and your team made the visit friendly and not threatening. So you came alongside of us, and we were really encouraged by the way you approached us and our community partners, and everybody was happy with the whole process. So I want to say thank you. As an institution, I've been, having been through this process for a number of years, I once served as a member of the board of examiners, so I know how this works. And I know it's often difficult for an institution of our size to have everything met without any concern. So we did expect that there are areas that we will work, and I want to assure you we have already begun working on those areas. As much as CTE is concerned, we identified issues with it even before the site visit came. And we have paused admission into all CTE programs, both the designated subject and even the degree programs, because we're doing exhaustive audit of the programs. And we have also paused recommending for preliminary designated subject credentials. So we have successfully worked with our community partners, with LACO, San Diego County, and Riverside County Office of Education to take over the students that were ready for preliminary credentials that we could not now recommend. So we are making sure these students are not stranded. We are making sure to take care of them. And those who are already working towards their clear credential, we are working with them. We have successfully put program plan for each one of them, individualized program plan, to ensure that they will finish their program. We have also started working to respond to those concerns. This summer was spent working on the CTE standards, the designated subject standards. And we have made meaningful progress in that area. And I'm confident that in the next couple of months, we'll have something to submit to CTC for review in that regard. My colleagues, Dr. Becky Sumbera, who serves as interim associate dean, and Dr. Marita Mahoney, each one of them will address the other aspects. Dr. Sumbera will address what we're doing with Standard 3, which has been called up a number of times, and Dr. Mahoney will address Standard 4. Dr. Sumbera, please.
Thank you. And again, appreciative to Jake and Naomi and Mimi, excellent team that came out. So much appreciative. It did make it very easy, and all of our colleagues did appreciate that. I'm going to address Standard 3. To start up with Standard 3, we've already started to address it. This summer, we did a workflow analysis of all the process from when a student is coming to apply into the program into total completion to find out the gaps. Where are the gaps? At this stage, we have identified the gaps, and we know, and we've talked in cabinet, that we know that we need to tie this into it. We have the data. We're actually very data rich. Marita has set us up with a lot of different surveys. And our supervision office, who places the students, have all confirmed with the districts they are in appropriate places. Where we need to, the gaps is we need to communicate and monitor the data being utilized by the programs. And so that is one of the gaps that came out, and actually the team identified that too. But we have been looking at the workflow analysis, has been, really helpful. So you'll be seeing that. The other piece is ensuring that we have some training for our university supervisors. And in fact, next Saturday we have an all-day training and another one in September for our resident teachers. And we also met with the districts this morning, reaching out to see exactly what they're providing for their resident teachers that are identified for us, and how to work with them on this standard to make sure we provide the evidence to get that. Lastly would be the ability to ensure that our faculty are well informed and know exactly what the process is. And that's part of the workflow too. We've come up with a list for students, exactly what they need to do, faculty, how to advise students, and then our part-time lecturers and university supervisors so that everybody is well informed. So a lot of things being put in place that you'll be able to get a report on and when we have to submit that. So appreciate this opportunity to improve our processes because I think we did know some of the gaps were there. This just puts us forward to really do a great job. Marita?
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. And I want to also extend my well wishes to Cheryl Hickey. I have worked with her on many teams and many, I'll just say number of areas over the years. So Cheryl, best for you. Also, thank you to Jake, Kiyomi, and Mimi. The team with Jake and Kiyomi throughout the year were very supportive. Many meetings, many consultations, texting back and forth, always very responsive and very informative. And Mimi, such a pleasure to work with you and the team. I also, one moment, if you will allow me to give a shout out to our Zoom team. We had Zoom Houston Central here. We had over 21 Zoom operators simultaneously in the same room to coordinate those 800, what ended up being 809 completed interviews. You can imagine we invited many more, but I would like to give out that all the staff, every staff member stepped up, was here on Sunday, here on Monday, here on Tuesday, and very appreciative. So I would like to really briefly speak to some of the things that we have looked at, and thank you for the team for their feedback for Common Standard 4, continuous improvement. As Dr. Sambura mentioned, we are data rich. However, we need to really streamline and operationalize better our systems and operations that we do have in process for how we're actually using and accessing that data. We have now revamped for this coming year our monthly extended leaderships meetings, which is the unit leadership team, plus all of the program coordinators are now going to focus on data improvement. Each program leader, coordinator, monthly is going to have to come to that meeting prepared to talk about what they are working on in their program, what their data needs may be, and what data they are looking at as part of their programs. We are also going to do a review. We have both campus dashboards and our own COE community online web space for all of our data. We will be reviewing that with everybody more frequently, where we are posting all the links to all of our completed aggregated data, including all of the links to the CTQ surveys, the CTC exit surveys. It seems like in what we were listening to from the feedback report is that some people, despite numerous training sessions, some people did not know where this data was located. So we will be much more upfront about where that is and then actually using and demonstrating using that data. Another key thing that we will be doing this year is modeling in those extended leadership meetings how the unit is using the data and using that model for how the program coordinators can then use their program data with their community stakeholders and their advisory boards. So we will be comprehensive, not just sharing and collecting the data, but then following through with presenting the data and then how to lead discussions about that data and then moving to action and decision items about the data. I will also say we're going, once everybody is back on contract next week, all the program coordinators, I will do an audit. My office will do an audit as to what other pieces of data potentially are being collected by the programs, as that was one of the issues that came up in the report, is that there seems to be some localized data as opposed to centralized. And so I need to get an understanding of what that data is and then be able to bring that in-house so we have that at the unit level. Very briefly as well, I just want to mention, dovetailing on what Dr. Sambura spoke about, is for the education specialist credential programs. They have been working as well, looking for placements, identifying new placements for their P through, oh, please forgive me now, the PK through birth PK3 classrooms. So they have been working this summer to identify those locations and working with our field placement office to ensure that the candidates will meet that field, believe it's 50-hour field placement for those. So those are the updates so far that we have.
Thank you. We really appreciate hearing that. And this process is all about ongoing program improvement. And I just want to acknowledge your ability to see the gaps and own those and already start, implementing things to make those areas stronger. So thank you for doing that. Before we get into committee member questions and comments, I do want to bring your attention to your yellow page on general guidance for initial site visit team recommendations as we move through our discussion. First, what we want to recommend for this.
Okay. Any public comment out, right? Okay.
Yeah. We will now open for public comment. As a reminder, if there are members of the public that would like to provide a comment, please notify the meeting moderator either in person or by submitting a request card. By clicking on the raised hand icon if participating through Zoom, or by pressing *9 if participating by phone. Are there any public comments?
There are no public comments.
Thank you. Okay. Do I do that? Okay. I have a suggestion we want to bring up for discussion on this. And first, Jake and Mimi, if you could just let us know why you chose stipulations rather than major stipulations or probationary stipulations, considering how many standards were not met.
Or met with concerns.
Or met with concerns.
I don't think they had any that were not met.
And these also include the programs.
Maybe, do you want to speak to it, or I can as well?
Well, I just wanted to say that the CTE program really stands out as one that needs a lot of work, but the others were strong in so many ways, and there were what I would call just inconsistencies rather than huge gaps. So that's how we interpreted this. So on paper, I think because of the CTE program in particular, it makes it seem like there's a lot missing, but there's so much strength going on in the other programs. So that we thought that the stipulations would address, and we had some good faith, and you could see it already that would be done over time. So Jake, I'll have you chime in there too.
Yeah, I think also the communication before and during the visit about the status of the designated subjects programs, that they were paused. We'd heard that before we came for the visit as well. And so it felt like the team's recommendations and the stipulations there were going to address it throughout the year. And then as Mimi said, the other programs had very minor areas that came up.
Okay. So thank you for that information. Up for discussion is something that I want to bring something up for discussion. And one is we're recommending a required revisit of the CTE and the designated subject, special subjects, and supervision and coordination. No.
CTE,
adult ed and CTE. And after consulting with Cheryl and Miranda, it is possible to revisit just those specific programs and not the entire institution, since the other programs were strong. So up for discussion would be a revisit for CTE and adult ed. And we'd also like to consider no further enrollment for new candidates and no further courses to be offered for those programs. So I would like to open it up for discussion. Any committee members have questions, comments?
Let me just clarify the process here, because so the question was about process that I think you asked us. So the process basically is just a reminder that the recommendation in the report is from the team, and it is a recommendation that the COA has the ability and authority to change stipulations, modify stipulations, remove stipulations, or make adjustments. If you were to decide that there needed to be a revisit, you could do that. So you have that authority to make the determination about the accreditation status and then what the follow-up is. And that the team makes the findings on the standards and that you are not able to change the findings on the standards. So just throwing the process back just to remind you what the process is.
Right now, any questions, comments from the committee? Yes, Member Kiape.
Thank you. Thank you for all of your work on this accreditation cycle. I know it's a lot of work and with all the interviews. I do have a question regarding the MMSN pathway and the ESN coursework. In the report, it states that the literacy, inclusive practices, English language support, and dyslexia-related expectations were more explicit across the MMSN pathway. And I wanted to get some more information regarding the ESN pathway since those standards overlap.
And Commissioner Kiapi, that you're talking about on page,
On page 18 of the report.
18 of the report, and particularly around literacy?
Around literacy, inclusive practice, and English language support for ESN.
And I think the issue could have been, because they're writing a lot. They just, that the reviewer just might not have addressed it in the report. So I don't know if Mimi can
Oh, I'm sorry. I was wondering if you wanted the institution to respond or
the institution or the
consultant and team lead, either way.
Didn't know. Oh, I'm a new member.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody.
I'll start. I mean, so both of those programs would have been certified through literacy, through the SB 488 literacy process. I know that in their program summaries that they updated before the visit, they addressed the changes to coursework in the program for all of the new literacy standard within that updated program summary. But as far as how it was included in the report, I see what you mean about it explicitly mentions it for MMSN, it misses it in the paragraph for ESN. So I was curious if we wanted to ask the institution if they're interested in commenting on that for both MMSN and ESN. Not to put you on the spot, but I just put you on the spot.
I would simply say that prior to the visit, we spent time working on the new literacy standards across the programs, both multiple and special education, and all the standards were met before the visit came. So I need to read the report to clearly understand what the question is, but I believe that before the site visit, we have already met the literacy standards based on the new expectations across all our credential programs.
And I would concur and basically just say because they just went through it, the inconsistency probably the reviewers heard might have been inconsistent because it was just barely implemented. But I know for sure that the program has been working still in reporting back what they're doing to incorporate the literacy and make sure that it's more well communicated. They just talked to me about their new student orientation and how they would be doing the literacy standards in that orientation.
Thank you. Can I add a follow-up question then? What about inclusive practices for students with ESN?
Again, that is a standard that is an aspect of the standard 7 that we addressed. And much of what happened last year was, remember we had, I think it was July, that was the deadline to submit the literacy standards for multiple and single subject programs. And these were new standards that just we are beginning to implement. And we covered all the grounds. I believe that as we were finishing that, we went into accreditation. And if you are looking for data as to how it's being implemented, we will have to have at least a full year's implementation before we can provide any data on that. But we have addressed and provided evidence on what we are doing to the literacy standards committee that we're working on that. And right now, none of those program leaders is here to specifically speak on those specific elements. But I'll guarantee you that if you want to send a written question, I can take it and bring more information. But I can guarantee you that we have adequately addressed all aspects of it. Inclusive practices is something that is already part of what we do across the programs. Multiple single and subject areas is an element of what we try to do, not just in literacy, but in other areas. So it's part of appropriate preparation for our candidates in our diverse environment. That is what the whole thing we do with TPA is about. So it's not like it's a gap for us.
Any other questions or comments? Was Member Leggett.
Right. Thank you so much for your hard work in the program. I was particularly interested in and was trying to read more about your training for the fieldwork supervisors. And also for clarification, are they fully remote observations or hybrid or within, out of school? And what does that training look like?
Dr. Sumbera.
So the training is usually a face-to-face training and we have an all-day training for that. And we go over coaching strategies. We've gone over literacy. We've gone over strategic strategies for teaching English language learners. So each year we try to include something else along with coaching skills, along with whatever the programs we have for monitoring the students, the TPEs, bringing everything out. We've also looked at digitizing our observations. I know special ed uses DigiCoach. We're focusing on Go React and using an AI component to help do better coaching for the university supervisors. And then we have a monthly meeting with university supervisors that we provide more training. Each month we pick a different topic. You have a speaker or either one of our own will do some type of training. So throughout the year, we provide at least once a month, but we do a full training each semester, a full day training each semester. That we bring our university supervisors in. We also include our university supervisors and our lecturers in a once a month meeting just for them because they can't make it during the day when we have our program meetings. So we replicate that in the evenings for our lecturers.
And I might add about these visits. We require a minimum of four visits each semester, and then virtual also. So our supervisors are required to go in person to the school sites.
Thank you.
Member Hillis?
Yeah, getting back to the data, obviously with the size of the programs that you have, and the expansiveness of the data that you're collecting, it's obviously quite a job. And so, first of all, I just applaud you for all that data that you're getting. And sometimes we can get, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like almost lost in a sea of data, which can happen. So I guess what I'm curious about is, I think you talked about having an internal dashboard around your data, if I'm correct on that. Here's what I'm curious about with that. You mentioned that sometimes people still don't exactly know how to access that or what's there. And so I'm curious if you've thought about, Rita, maybe this is your role, of actually helping program directors, faculty, whoever it may be, to actually where they should be looking. Because it seems like that problem of almost an oversaturation of data is going to be difficult unless they're pointed in the right direction as part of your continuous improvement, which obviously if you've got a lot of data, that's great, but it may need a little bit more kind of pushing into the right areas.
Yes, thank you for that. Yeah, we have, as Dr. Simbera mentioned, data rich. We have data, and there's probably many pieces of data that some of our folks don't know about. And in my discussions with people, it is a lot of, I go to the dashboard and I don't know where to find what I want, as you were referencing, or, it's just so much easier if we call Marita, and Marita will look it up for us. Marita's not always available. That's one of the reasons why the dashboards and our online websites, having the data posted, is there for them to look up. And it's also then transparent. It's available for everybody in the COE or the WCOE, and not just our program coordinators. We have done various workshops, even preparing now for the site visit. We did 4 data-focused workshops working with the program coordinators, but obviously there was more work to be done. And I think one thing that I'm also working on and doing that is continuing that, but also looking for lack of a better phrase, more generic examples of the data. For example, when I'm looking at helping people go through the TPA data, we have programs that zone out because they don't do TPA data. When we're looking at a certain fieldwork form, we have other programs that zone out because they're using a different fieldwork form, or they're doing a national exam instead of different fieldwork observations. So it's finding that niche and that way, and that repetition of data. You heard Dr. Howard from CSUI earlier reference the PeopleSoft system. Not to plug my own horse, but our campus is the campus that developed the PeopleSoft system that is now rolled out to the other campuses. So we know the struggles that the other campuses and ourselves have had over the years with data. We're also working this summer, in my conversations with Shanaka and Dr. Simber and our cabinet members, is working, one thing that we're adding to that work is to differentiate between operational data and actual program improvement data. We have a number of programs that are relying on their admission numbers or their enrollment numbers or their completion numbers, and substituting, for lack of a better word, that for program improvement data, instead of looking at the fieldwork observations or their TPA or CalAPA or its specialist scores, or their feedback from their supervisors, or the CTQ surveys or the exit surveys that they're doing. So we're going to start working on that level as well. Liking, though, as well, is one thing that we have had each of our programs do is focus on 4 to 6 key assessments through their assessment cycle. And I think one thing that I will be doing this year is working to bring them back to that focus. Instead of looking at everything, what is the questions you want to answer? What do you want to know about your candidates? What do you want to know about your program? What are your 4 to 6 maximum, because that's still a lot of data, key assessments that are going to provide you with answers to those questions, and bringing that back to that organic process instead of, here is your data, kind of do with it what you will. Start more organically is, what is it you want to know about your program? What is it you want to know about your candidates? And then let that now lead the data that we are collecting. So I know it was a little bit of a roundabout answer. I hope that answered your question. If any clarification is needed, just let me know. And I'm happy to talk about data all day. So be careful.
Let me add to it, Marita. Let me add the fact that when Marita mentioned my COE PeopleSoft, it's a bolt-on version that developed here, in which we customized the PeopleSoft platform to give us meaningful data, which other CSUs saw and now they are replicating it. So I share that to say the data is not the problem. And your question was very pointed, accessibility to it. And I would also say that our program coordinators do not have problem accessing the data, but most of the faculty members may not be able to access the relevant data. So during a visit like this, faculty members will prove ignorant of what is there and what is being used, because many of them have not really had reason to use this data for anything. So that is the reason why we are now choosing to focus on continuous improvement meetings that will involve everybody as part of the outcome of this visit, in which we can now educate our constituents of what do we have in terms of data, what are we doing with it, and if at the program level they are not doing much with it, now we're going to begin to require them to do something with the data that we are already collecting and begin to use it for program improvement. But really, accessibility to data for those who need it, like program coordinators, is not a big deal here. It is, we have about 200 and something full-time and part-time faculty members, and some of them are engaged and some are not really as engaged as others. So the degree to which they will have knowledge and access to this information will vary. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, and to address direct additive, the department chairs have recently trained on data dashboards. And as Marita mentioned, those 4 components, now the next stage for the department chairs to help lead and monitor would be, okay, each program, what are your 4? What's your template you're going to use for that data collection? And then if they have a template, I think the faculty will be more informed of what the data they do have. And so it's a matter of communication and establishing that process where we can have it monitored. And I think that's what you guys brought out for us.
Great, thanks. Yeah, I certainly recognize the task that you all are facing with just the size of the programs. And so I just want to commend you on the work that you're doing. So well done.
Any final comments? Member Brivers.
Initially, you mentioned that an area of growth was the capacity of a coordinator. Can you talk a little bit more about that? About like a staffing capacity?
Do you want me to speak? Who are you addressing it to, the team or to the?
Anybody?
Yeah.
Speak to that, you start with the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it really was just that, we heard from coordinators that there was a need for potentially more assigned time for their roles, in particular for certain programs that have very complex, more complexity. And I know that this group they have a formula for how they assign that time, but it was something that we made note of because we did hear it from coordinators. So I don't know if my San Bernardino colleagues want to talk about that a little bit.
Yes, so assigned time and course releases, common conversations in the CSU, any other university system, and there's never enough release to do all the work. And what we have done in the college is to come up with a formula that serves our students as well as make sure that those who are doing the work are not doing it at a cost to their own health and ability to function. So our formula is a formula that assigns one course release, which is 3 units for every program that has less than 30 students. And programs that has 30 to 60 students have 2 course releases, which is 6 units. Programs that have 90 students, up to 90 students, 60 to 90 will have 3 course releases. So proportionally, we assign course releases up onto a maximum of 5 course releases for the academic year. The reality is that, again, when site visits happen, some of the complaints come from programs that may not have as many students but want more. And we are doing our best to balance it. CSU has been dealing with budgetary issues. We have budgetary constraints that make it difficult for us to be as liberal as we would like to be. But we are not in any way insensitive to the need to balance the course releases that are needed for them to do the work that they are doing. In fact, as part of trying to address that concern, we actually hired a full-time program faculty member to coordinate the multiple and single subject program, who started last year. That's the only thing that individual is doing, is not doing anything else, doesn't teach. Also in ed admin program, we have a full-time lecturer who is working also in that program. So we are doing our best to balance that demand, but we acknowledge that it's not easy. It is never sufficient.
Thank you.
I did want to bring to the committee's attention and talk more about the designated subject areas. As you can see, for the CTE, 1 and 2 were met with concerns. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 through 16 were not met. And also the adult education, standard 1 met with concerns, and program standards 2, 3, 4, and 5 through 13 were not met. So to the institution, where are you at with those 2 programs?
I'm going to have my colleagues chime in, but let me prefix my statement by saying we happen to be the only higher ed in Southern California. I don't know if there is anywhere else that is offering CTE and designated subject courses. Long Beach used to have it, they closed it down. This is a very challenging program, and we have only offered it as a service to the state. And it's a big challenge for us. Many times we've thought of closing it down, and CTC have said we need it. So I say that to say it's been a challenge for us to run that program. And a convenient thing for me as a dean and for us as a leadership team would be to shut it down and just move on with the programs that we want to focus our attention on. I'm being very frank with you, but we are continuing to invest into trying to make it work because it serves a specific part of the community that need that service. It is for the service that it offers to the community. And so what are we doing? I told you we already paused admission into the programs. I heard when you were reading the recommendation, I hope the recommendation was, I raised my hand at that time. I thought I had stop offering classes. If we stop offering classes, a lot of students will be stranded. We have already planned and did individualized program plan for them, and we're going to finish out those students. We are writing right now, and Dr. Zumbera, you can discuss where we are in that process. And honestly speaking, I'm open to shutting that program down or doing what we can to move it forward. I'm being very transparent with you. Thank you.
To add, we did do analysis from the feedback and the program and all the data that we had. We probably got an 8-page action plan, spreadsheet of everything that needs to be done to address all the different issues that were pointed out. I met over the summer with the coordinator and the department chair to work on this, and we've begun working. We're at the stage that now we need to take it and start gathering, changing some process, changing some aspects with the faculty and collecting the evidence that is needed, especially in the fieldwork section. That's a big issue. I've also worked with every single student. I'm the only person advising the students right now. So every single student has to get a program plan through me, and I've done their program plan for the year to make sure they're successful. The ones I could, I refunded the courses so they could go to somewhere else, and I linked them up to the other places, and I'm in communication with the other 3 places. The coursework, the scheduling, and all the advisement is coming through me so that I can monitor it to make sure our students have the best possible outcome they possibly can. So that's where we're at right now. We're not admitting, we're not recommending. We shut that down earlier, and we're trying to clean it up along with the bachelor's and the master's CTE program. And that's a big lift too that we're doing. So we're very aware of all the issues. There is an action plan, and the coordinator is working with me to get those done. And the students are they're a lot happier now. And they're telling me, I really appreciate it. You mean I have my plan for the year? And they're very appreciative. We didn't have that before. So we understand the issues. We were aware of it before accreditation, and we've been working on those. So we're moving on this program, but at the same time, I agree with the dean. Thank you.
Brian, I am acknowledging you. I'm going to ask one more question. A lot of the undergraduate students may think that they're getting credit towards the CTE at the master level or the upper level. Can you kind of explain how the transfer credits and coursework from undergrad to grad work?
Yeah, so that's the piece I said we have to do some work on the undergrad to masters. Was some issues with maybe double dipping, and so they cannot. So we have identified the courses they need to take that aren't part of the bachelor's, that would be sufficient for designated subject. And I've done those program plans. And basically, we have to rightfully identify there seem to be some issues there with several of the students that I did advise, but they have been addressed now, so there is no double dipping. There's no counting bachelor's towards the master's in credentials because we're not allowed to do that. And we have identified one of the action items is for the program to identify core master classes that the bachelor's do not take, bachelor students do not take, and how that curriculum designated subject credential program is aligned to either the bachelor's or to the master's, so we're not repeating courses and getting credit all the way across.
You remember,
and we also have a TESOL program that we're aligning the designated subject with TESOL, and also trying to do some alignment there because that was one of our pathways into the designated subject also.
Thank you. Member Bryant, thank you for your patience.
No problem. I think my thoughts have shifted over the time, so maybe that's good in the long run. I think this conversation is a perfect example of why site visits are so valuable and such an important part of the accreditation process, because what we write down on paper is our intention, but the actions are what we're looking at during the site visit. And we are all busy and things are happening while we're implementing. And I so appreciate everything that you are doing and the actions that you are taking on a daily basis and coming here to speak to us about it today. And I would encourage you all to continue thinking beyond this process, no matter what we decide today and how we continue to have conversations, how you do this work, because each program that you've brought on was an intentional process and decision that was made as an institution. And each individual who comes to you to participate in that program deserves the opportunity to participate in a program that you are consistently thinking clearly about and cohesively across your institution to provide support to everyone in. So I think this is a great opportunity for that to happen and for you to develop and refine systems that you've begun developing all the way through and beyond this process.
I would like to come back to the proposal that I had, which was to require a revisit for CTE and adult ed within, what is that, 1 year?
1 year, yes.
Within 1 year. No further enrollment for new candidates, no further courses to be offered. And yeah, that's the proposal. And Cheryl, go.
Well, a thought occurred to me as they were speaking that they have already paused the program. So I'm thinking, and this has happened in the past, this is why I'm thinking this, to have a revisit and have no candidates in the program poses a challenge. So in this particular unique situation, it might not, I'm just throwing it out there for you. I mean, obviously you'd be able to talk to the program personnel, but there wouldn't be any enrolled candidates to understand their experiences, and obviously no completers. So it just occurred to me as they were, talking through what they have been doing. It does sound like they have a plan, and maybe you want to see the plan in 6 months or something like that, or have an update. I don't know. That's just an option. I just threw that out there because I was thinking through the revisit, and I remember this happened at one point. We had a revisit, and there were no candidates to talk to because they had gone inactive.
So, but the problem would always be, when do we allow students back in?
Right, exactly. Yep. Yeah.
At that point.
So you certainly could do it either way. I just wanted to throw that out there as you think through
Either way, I think with a 6-month report and a 7th year report, we're going to need experts in designated subjects to be part of it. And so having them review coursework according, and how it meets the standards, and possibly being engaged in talks with the program could be an interesting concept, not just having them review on paper,
right,
but hearing firsthand maybe how the discussions are.
But you would know in a revisit that you wouldn't be talking to candidates.
Right.
Right. So as long as that's really clear.
Yeah.
This is an action item. Do I have a motion with the proposed new
Before the
proposal?
motion,
Please, to have a question for clarification. Did we hear do not offer any courses? We have students who are already in the program that we have done program plan for, that we have to teach out of the program. If you say do not offer any classes, I don't know what we're going to do with those students.
I think it might be helpful. It sounded like the candidates that are in the program now, it's an individualized program for them. Is that what I heard? I'm trying to help the COA
It
kind of
is individualized program plan,
Mhm.
but some of them are still taking classes together, but they are at different points in their program completion time scale. So we have provided them a plan on how they will finish their program and get out. So we are going to continue to teach until at least spring next year before we graduate the last group of students. So we cannot not teach.
So you have a set of current candidates in, you're not admitting new candidates.
Correct.
But you're finishing out whoever's remaining.
Correct.
Okay. Just wondering.
And do the students understand they cannot be recommended for a credential?
The only students,
Go ahead.
The only students we kept in, we referred all the students that didn't have a preliminary to a different program. For the students that are in, they already have a preliminary credential and they're finishing up their coursework and filing for their clear after they get their 2 years of work experience. And that's where those candidates are. So not to penalize candidates for some system breakdown into the program. Now we are monitoring every single class and we're going through it, and they'll probably be the two professors teaching this semester and two professors next semester. We'll be meeting frequently to go over everything that they're doing to ensure that the program has quality for these candidates to exit out, because we want to ensure that basically all candidates, we're not penalizing the candidates, but we're not offering any more preliminary credentials.
So I just want to double check something too. Okay, so the only people that can enroll in any of those courses already have the preliminary credential. Is that right? Because I know there was a time when some individuals who were possibly in the undergrad portion could enroll in some courses even if they did not have the preliminary. Is that right?
No.
So now they cannot, right? Okay.
Only those who already have preliminary credential. And we have identified them individually, and we are working to get them to clear their credential.
And it's like
Yeah, we just have a few that will finish up this semester and a few more that will finish up next semester, only because they're taking a few classes, one or two, to finish up, but nothing, they just have a few classes left.
do they have verified mentoring as well?
Thank you.
Yes, that is part of our action plan to make sure that we have that mentoring in place. So like I said, we want them to go through with a positive experience and get exactly what they need to increase the validity of the program. We're not blinded by, some of the things that might have happened. And so we're being very strategic in making sure, and I have meetings scheduled with just the designated subject students. All other students I personally referred out that did not have a preliminary. Some took 2 courses, some took 1 course. We are not offering this to the bachelor's or to the master's. It's only for the students who are finishing up that preliminary credential.
And that is consistent with, I think, the team in programs, the number 1 stipulation. They were very careful with the way they worded it. So they said the institution shall not be permitted to recommend candidates for the preliminary. So that would allow those remaining candidates to finish out, but stops any new preliminary candidates.
There was also at the time of the visit, remember, there was a discussion about whether to use the term shall not admit new candidates or enroll. But when I spoke with Marita and Becky, that was the issue, was some people were taking courses even though they were never enrolled in it. So the preliminary stops that entry point into a credential program.
Right. And they were coming through Open University. I also shut Open University enrollment for this program. Nobody can come through Open University.
Okay. Member Bryant?
So Jake, maybe you can help with this. I just have a question. I feel like we're making a decision we would be making a decision blind in a sense. Having the information with clarity around what the experience is for the enrolled people to clear. I mean, I agree. I don't want them to be denied the opportunity, but at the same time, if what the information we're being provided is that program is not meeting standards, we're presented with this conundrum do we push the people through who are in a program that is essentially being said it's not meeting standards?
Advice?
Well, I think I heard that there has been an analysis done by the institution on a candidate by candidate basis so I don't know if you want to say a little bit more on that again, on that piece.
Becky, go ahead.
To the institution.
We've had several meetings, but then I met individually with each candidate and the courses they are taking. And basically, like I said, there's only a few and they only have a few courses. It's not like, I don't even think we have 10. And basically what we're trying to do is ensure that they have a quality program. I've looked at all the courses they have taken, talked to them, what are some of their holes and then offered them courses that would fill up those gaps and make sure that they have everything that they need in order to be successful in their field next career. A lot of these candidates already are employed and they're working in the field. And so I've tried to do basically make sure that they have what they need. And then they're all providing me with their supervisors and mentors to make sure that we can meet with all their mentors in the fall and basically moving forward from there. So we want to ensure that they have the best quality. And we also want to ensure when they go out there, they're going to refer people when we can open the program again, if we open the program again. This is very important to the community to have the designated subjects. And like I said, we're doing our best to revamp the program, and it will be a quality program. And we will not let our students go out there in the field. You heard all the other programs, how we get feedback. They're some of the best quality candidates. We want to ensure that with these candidates also. We don't want to send poor candidates out there.
I just feel like the stakes are higher with CTE because they're often people who are coming in, they're coming in from industry. They are placed in classrooms based on their industry experience, and their first entry point with learning about teaching is through their CTE program. And that is a vulnerable teaching population who deserves rigorous support.
Yeah, and some of our candidates, we have one that already has a PhD as a designated subject candidate that we're continuing. We have two that have masters and have been teaching in the community college. And I think they're far as brand new, but they've been teaching, I think they were about 3 to 5 years. Two had been teaching for 3 to 5 years. So my conversations with them is to find out what they knew in education, what they're able to do, and where they feel their gaps are in order to move forward to be most successful. So I think we are addressing their needs so that they're not going out there and they're not vulnerable, and that we are guiding them because we realize that this needed to be discovered a little earlier. And, that was on us. And we did not. So we realized that we do not want to send them out there without being fully prepared.
So could we just have language that distinguishes between those two groups of people? People that are in the program, they're permitted to finish them out, and then we just continue to pause enrollment. And then at that revisit, then we make that decision about whether they can open that back up. Does that
Want to make a motion?
If I could repeat it.
Sounded great.
Okay, I'll make a motion for Cal State San Bernardino to accept the recommendation for accreditation with stipulations. Stipulation being that they will have a 6-month report and a 7th-year report, and that they will pause all future enrollment for the CTE and adult education credentials.
Are you adding a required revisit for those programs?
Yes.
Okay, so with a 1-year revisit.
Focused on the
CTE and adult ed.
Okay.
Yeah. Ooh, that was a lot. Do I have a second on the new motion? Member Hall, thank you. Okay, we will now do a roll call vote. When called upon, indicate your vote with aye, no, or abstain. And remember that this is for the new motion on the floor. Please call roll.
Jessica Bogdanovich.
Aye.
Malika Bryant.
Aye.
Randy Byers,
Aye.
Jenny Chape,
Aye.
Shaw Hall,
Aye.
Phyllis,
Aye.
Allison Leggett,
Aye.
Jay Sykes.
Aye.
Okay, so the new motion carries. We want to thank you so much for all of the answering of our questions and all the work that you've already began and that you're doing for your programs and for your students. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lunch is ready.
I would say that we give a break for lunch. And those people to. Okay. Time to walk.
All right, we are going to break for lunch. And as you recall, we're going to get our lunch and come back here for a working lunch.
So our goal is to reconvene at 1 o'clock. We're sorry, we still haven't gotten that gavel.
I know, we're